Why are you always available and therefore diminished? Machiavelli taught that presence can be a weapon. Absence, wielded with intent, becomes the ammunition that produces desire, obedience, and authority. This video exposes Machiavelli's scarcity law, not a game of pretending, but a strategy of calibrated withdrawal. For the man tired of being taken for granted, this is a surgical manual. How to convert silence into power, disappearance into leverage. Promise. By the end, you will own 5 concrete moves to make your presence rare, magnetic, and strategically dangerous. You are too available. That is the wound that eats you. When you are everywhere, you become nowhere. The world learns your schedule. It learns your voice, it learns to call and you answer. And somewhere in that answering you shrink. Machiavelli wrote not of warmth but of calculus. A ruler who is present at every market becomes a merchant, his mystery traded away like cheap fabric. Presence, unchecked, is currency spent until you are bankrupt. Listen, withdrawal is a strategy. Disappearance is not cowardice, it is a choice. The man who withdraws is the man who forces imagination to work in his favor. People will invent reasons. They will fear you, flatter you, debate your absence like scripture. In the vacuum you leave, they breathe stories about you. Those stories will be larger than any statement you ever made. Do this now. Withdraw. Not forever. For a time. 48 hours of silence. No trivial texts, no casual check-ins. Let your phone live somewhere without you. Let messages pile like unopened letters. Notice the internal panic that rises, a hot, familiar animal in your chest that screams, "They will forget you." That animal is your enemy. Starve it. Watch it grow thin. It will howl for attention. Do not give it what it wants. There is an antagonist and it wears no single face. It is the society that teaches you to be immediate, to be always reachable, to be the servant who answers the bell. Every notification is a leash. Every instant reply tightens its grip. You think you are being polite. You are being trained. You have been conditioned to prove your worth by the speed of your response. This is slavery disguised as courtesy. Imagine a fortress. If its gates are open every day, the river of people flows through, traders, beggars, empty admirers, and the inside becomes a market stall. The stones lose their purpose. The crown grows dented by constant handling. But if the gates shut, if the drawbridge lifts and the torchlight cuts the air in a narrow beam, the fortress becomes a thing of myth. People stand outside and whisper. They tell one another tales of an inner sanctum. They assign value to the closed door. The absence itself becomes the sentinel. You must become the closed door. You must make absence a part of your ritual, not for theatrics, for function, for leverage. Hear me. Every instant reply you send chips away at your value. Delayed answers build curiosity. Curiosity births attention. Attention is the raw material of influence. When you withhold, you reclaim that raw material and shape it into demand. This is not theory, it is practical craft. Run the experiment. Tonight, vanish for 48 hours. Remove yourself from the tide of small talk. Turn off the devices that make you small. When the 2 days are over, return as if nothing has happened. Do not apologize. Do not explain. Let them narrate your absence to themselves. Their stories will be kinder than your confession. You will feel a ghost of fear, the thought that they will replace you, that the void will be filled. Good. That fear is evidence you are doing the right thing. Only emptiness that causes discomfort is the emptiness that matters. If no one notices you are gone, your absence had no weight. Weight is what you want. When you return, observe. Notice who reaches out first and why. Notice the tone of messages, sharper, curious, pleading perhaps. Notice also who does not move at all. This is a map. Those who scramble are the ones whose attention you own. Those who do not care are dust. Use this map. Your words are weapons. Your silences are shields. Between them lies strategy. If you speak too often, your speech becomes a stream, diluted, predictable, cheap. But a few well-placed sentences land like iron. Each word matters. Let your speech be measured. Let it carry weight. When you speak, speak as if hammering a stake into the floor of a cathedral. Short, heavy, unequivocal. Remember 3 simple commands. First, Delay. Answer in hours, not in the beat of the notification. Make them wait to unwrap your attention. Second, withdraw regularly. Make absence a rhythm, a tide they learn to respect. Third, return without explanation. Explanation is the cheap currency of the guilty. Mystery holds value. Keep it. You will be tempted to provide context. You will want to explain that it was nothing, that you were busy, that you had reasons. Do not. Explanations are confessions in disguise. They collapse the spell you created. Someone might become angry. Let them be angry. Anger is a sign that you still provoke emotion. If you have provoked nothing, you possess nothing. The inner servant of speech will beg you to fill the void. It will whisper that silence equals loss. It will tell stories about abandonment. Let it squirm. Your mind will try to justify your absence to itself in the same way a child justifies stealing a second piece of bread, with urgency and shame folding together. Deny the child the bread. Harden the will. The discipline of disappearance breeds a new muscle, resilience. Think of Jung's notion of shadow. Your absence becomes part of your shadow, the unseen weight that others project into. The shadow is heavier than 1,000 words. It carries a gravity that speech cannot replicate. People will imagine complexity where there is only your silence. They will project power onto void. Let them. This projection will become the scaffolding of your stature. Do not confuse mystery with avoidance. There is a fine edge. Disappear for leverage, not for cowardice. A leader who vanishes when needed and returns when decisive is feared and respected. A man who hides when confronted is pitied. Your withdrawal must be purposeful. It must be timed. It must be a reserve, like a general holding the cavalry behind the ridge, until the moment that breaks an army. Practice timing like a craftsman. Withdraw before you would be expected to, in the hour of assumed availability. Return not to beg for attention, but to deliver value. When you reappear, offer something more than your presence. A decisive move, a solved problem, a silence that ends with impact. Let your return be the strike that proves the rest. Imagine the scene. An empty throne in a hall. Torches gutter. The crowd murmurs. Heads turn when you walk in, cloaked, composed, carrying nothing but the fact of your arrival. The hush bears down, breath held, eyes searching. You do not explain yourself. You sit. The room invents a legend. There are rules you carry in your pocket now. Not elaborate rituals, not grand performances, small actions repeated until they become habit. Delay responses, withdraw regularly, return silent and unburdened. Use the first two to create the third. This is not about cruelty, it is about priority. It is about teaching the world the true cost of your time. If you let everyone have you, you will become a commodity. If you ration yourself, you become choice. Consider Nietzsche. He insisted on a kind of austere selection. He wrote about the value of choosing the few over the many. Apply that to your presence. Choose who enters. Let others stand at the gate and learn patience. The patience will be converted into value for you and into longing for them. There will be casualties. Friendships that were superficial will fade. Let them. They were never strong. What remains will be calibrated, leaner, truer, hungrier. You will find a smaller circle of men and women whose attention is sacred. Those people matter. Protect that attention like an archive. Do not litter it with trivialities. Now, a practical test. The next time you feel compelled to answer, wait. Count to 10, then count to 100. Let discomfort become familiar. Do not apologize for the silence. When you must speak, let each sentence be a carefully chosen stone. Use short sentences. Use pauses. Use the power of absence to make each return an event. Visualize fire at the gate, torches flaring only when you decide. Visualize the fortress doors closing at your signal. Visualize the empty throne and the room holding its breath. This is imagery you will carry into the world. Withdraw for 48 hours. Watch the reactions. Note the tone of return. Note who moves and who does not. Learn the map that emerges. Practice delay in all your communications. Make silence a tool. Bend the world to your absence until it bends back with desire. When you come back, do not sheepishly explain. Walk in as if you have been there all along. Because in a way you have been gathering leverage in the space between messages. That leverage will speak for you. End this experiment and carry the lesson. Make absence part of your craft. Make it regular. Make it faithful. And remember, power does not crave validation. Power commands the room by not always being in it. You have been taught to fear silence. Since childhood, voices demanded, speak up, explain yourself, fill the space. Yet every word you gave away was a piece of armor stripped from your body. The man who speaks endlessly is naked, exposed, predictable. The man who restrains speech becomes something else entirely. A mystery, a riddle that others cannot solve. Noise is everywhere. It rots the air. Empty chatter, desperate posts, the constant drip of opinions that mean nothing. Men drown in it, begging to be heard, but all they prove is weakness. The one who holds his tongue does not drown. He stands above the flood, untouchable. His silence turns heads. His pause bends the atmosphere of a room. When he finally speaks, every word lands with the weight of a hammer. Your greatest enemy here is not the crowd. It is the inner servant of speech, that timid, stammering voice inside that begs, say something. If you don't, they'll forget you. If you don't, they'll reject you. This is the slave within, the coward who confuses silence with death. Starve him. Let him choke on the silence you command. Each time you withhold, he weakens. Each time you pause, he dies a little more. Think of your words as ammunition. A fool empties his weapon in the first minutes of battle. A strategist waits, holding fire until each shot cripples the enemy. Every word you utter must strike like that. Rare, precise, decisive. If you speak too much, you are a common drum. If you speak little, you are a war horn. Practice the 3-sentence rule. In moments that matter, you do not speak more than 3 deliberate lines. Let them ask. Let them beg. Let them stretch to fill the silence you leave. The room will tilt toward you. Curiosity will thicken the air. They will lean in, desperate, trying to draw out what you withhold. In that moment, you have become the center without chasing the spotlight. Visualize a fortress. Its gates are speech. Keep them locked. Open them only when necessary, and the act of opening becomes sacred. Each word that passes through is no longer casual. It is an event. A man who closes his gates makes others wait outside, imagining the treasures inside. That imagination works in your favor. They will always believe your silence hides more than it does. History favors the man of silence. Napoleon was known for his pauses. He would hold a room in suspension, making generals sweat before uttering a single phrase. And Nietzsche, cold and exact, wrote that a man counts for little until he has learned to hold his tongue. These men understood what the masses never will. Restraint breeds reverence. This will be uncomfortable. The pause will burn your throat at first. Silence will feel like drowning. But in that discomfort is proof you are breaking chains. Society trains you to fill every gap. You must unlearn it. Let conversations die. Let others scramble to keep them alive. You owe no rescue. Their discomfort is your crown. Here is your order. In the next important exchange, do not go beyond 3 sentences. Count them. 1, 2, 3, then stop. Leave silence behind you like smoke in a cathedral. Watch how the other person shifts. Some will grow nervous. Some will attempt to fill the space. Others will look at you differently, sensing gravity where before there was none. That shift is your proof. Do not chase smoothness. Do not chase comfort. Chase weight. Your words must be iron stakes hammered into the ground, not leaves scattered by wind. If you leave a room silent, let it burn. If you pause before answering, let them wait. A pause of 3 seconds feels like eternity to the weak. To you, it must become natural. The more you master controlled silence, the more your presence will alter reality. You will no longer be a background hum. You will be the sound that breaks the air, the absence that bends attention, the single note in a symphony of noise. So cut your tongue in half, starve your servant, speak rarely, strike heavily. And remember this, silence is not the absence of power. Silence is power perfected. They demand your words. They claw at you with questions, chatter, endless sound. Society is addicted to noise, and it wants you addicted too. But Machiavelli knew the deeper truth. The man who controls his silence controls the field. The more you speak, the more you reveal. The more you reveal, the weaker you stand. Silence, when chosen, is not absence, it is dominance. Noise is worship today. Men fill every gap with babble, terrified of empty space. They mistake volume for significance, mistaking chatter for connection. But the man of power does not compete in this carnival of words. He retreats from it, he watches, he calculates, and by withholding his voice, he becomes the only one worth listening to. Controlled silence bends minds. The human psyche cannot endure voids. When you refuse to speak, they will invent meanings, fill your silence with their own projections. Jung called it projection of the unconscious. The tendency to see in others what lies hidden within ourselves. Your silence makes them imagine you stronger, colder, more decisive than you are, and slowly you become that image. Inside you, there is a traitor, the inner servant of speech. He whispers, "Say something now or they'll forget you. Fill the gap or they'll dismiss you." He is a parasite, terrified of rejection. He forces you to spill words like cheap coin. Starve him. Each time you hold back, you bury him. Each time you pause, you silence his pleading. He will die in the prison of your discipline. Picture words as bullets, fire them carelessly, and your weapon is empty. The enemy studies your rhythm, predicts your aim, learns your weakness. But hold your fire and every shot becomes a thunderclap. This is how your words must function, rare, heavy, lethal, not chatter, not waste. Here is your law. Never more than 3 sentences in any moment that matters. 1, 2, 3. Then silence. It will feel unnatural, it will burn in your chest. But watch what happens. They lean in, they shift forward, they beg the silence to end. They become dependent on you to release them. You will feel the shift of gravity. They are orbiting you. Think of a fortress. If its gates are always open, peasants and beggars walk through without thought. But when the gates remain shut, and open only rarely, the moment feels sacred. Your silence is the wall. Your words are the iron doors. Keep them sealed until you decide otherwise, and men will wait outside, imagining treasures within. This discipline is not theory. Napoleon himself weaponized pauses. He let silence make men sweat before dropping a single command, as if each word was carved from stone. Nietzsche, colder still, declared that a man is nothing until he has mastered his tongue. They knew the weapon of silence. The fools around them did not. Your training begins now. In your next conversation, resist the itch to fill. Count 3 seconds before answering. Measure your words. If silence stretches, let it. Do not rescue them from discomfort. Let them drown in it. The weak will squirm. The strong will respect you. Either way you win. Your voice is not meant to be a fountain, it is meant to be a sword. A blade you draw rarely, and only to cut. Let silence do the rest. Let absence create the tension. Let pauses sculpt the weight of your presence. Soon you will no longer fear silence, you will embody it. You will walk into a room, and your quiet will speak louder than another man's shouting. They will wonder what storms you conceal. They will never know. Because silence is not emptiness. Silence is the shadow of power. And the man who controls it is already half a ruler. You must understand this. Presence is not given, it is engineered. Men waste themselves chasing attention, stretching their voices, flailing their gestures. They believe presence comes from expansion. But the truth is colder. Presence is born from absence. A man who is scarce becomes magnetic. A man who appears everywhere dissolves into nothing. Machiavelli warned that overexposure erodes respect. A prince too visible becomes ordinary. The people begin to see flaws, cracks, weakness. Mystery evaporates. But when a ruler withholds himself, when he vanishes at will, his presence multiplies in the minds of others. They speak of him when he is gone. They wonder, they imagine, they invent stories. Absence becomes a furnace that forges legend. Think of it. A fire burns hottest when fed carefully, not drowned in wood. Your presence is that fire. If you offer yourself constantly, you smother the flame. If you retreat, if you appear with precision, every return becomes an event. They feel your weight more because they feared your silence. The shadow that fights you here is hunger. The inner servant that craves validation, desperate to be seen, desperate to be remembered. He pushes you to show up everywhere, to speak endlessly, to prove your existence through noise and presence. That is the slave's path. Kill him. Starve him by withdrawing. Prove your value by not being always available. Absence sharpens the blade of respect. Use scarcity as a tactic. Withdraw from circles where you are taken for granted. Limit your responses. Delay your replies. Appear unpredictably, like a storm. When you return, your impact doubles. When you vanish, curiosity feeds on the void you leave behind. This cycle of presence and absence is the pulse of power itself. History confirms this law. Caesar did not walk the streets daily as a commoner. He appeared in moments of triumph, in processions, in rare commands. The crowd saw him less, but felt him more. Kings locked themselves in fortresses, revealing their faces only in orchestrated displays. Scarcity manufactured awe, and awe manufactures obedience. Here is your rule. Learn to vanish. Withdraw deliberately. Leave conversations unfinished. Step out when they expect you most. Do not announce it. Let the absence sting. They will notice. They will remember. And when you return, they will lean closer, fearful to lose you again. Do not fear being forgotten, fear being consumed. Only the weak give themselves away endlessly. Only the desperate flood the world with their presence. You are not desperate, you are scarce. You are iron locked in shadow, revealed only when you choose. The more you withhold, the heavier your presence grows. Soon, your silence will haunt them. Your absence will echo louder than their noise. They will wait for your return as if waiting for thunder after lightning. Understand this and carve it into your mind. To appear always is to vanish. To vanish strategically is to rule. And only those who master their absence will ever command true presence. Power is not noise. Power is not abundance. Power is not the endless circulation of words, faces, gestures, and appearances. True power lives in scarcity. The scarcity law is not a passing trick, nor a convenient tactic to be used when nothing else works. It is the spine of authority itself, the invisible hand that bends desire, fear, and reverence to the will of the man who dares to use it. And in this final passage, you will see how this law is not just a strategy, but a transformation of identity. Scarcity is brutal because it opposes everything that society has trained you to be. From the moment you were born, you were told to be present, to be loud, to be seen everywhere, to make yourself useful, to never be forgotten. The system thrives on men who cannot disappear, men addicted to proving their worth through constant visibility. But Machiavelli knew, and every ruler worth his crown understood, that the one who appears too often becomes ordinary. A man always available is a man already defeated. A man who cannot withdraw is a servant, not a master. Absence is feared by the weak. They believe that to vanish is to lose relevance, but the truth is darker. To vanish strategically is to engrave yourself into memory deeper than presence ever could. When you retreat, when you deny yourself, you do not become forgotten. You become larger. The void you leave behind grows louder than your voice. People imagine you. They whisper about you. They write your script in their own minds. And every story they tell makes you more myth than man. Think of the kings who hid behind palace walls, emerging only on rare occasions. Their faces were rarely seen, but when they were, entire cities gathered in awe. The very distance magnified their stature. Think of religious leaders who spoke sparingly, whose silences felt heavier than sermons. Think of the generals who disappeared into exile, only to return like storms. Napoleon himself vanished to Elba, and when he reappeared, all of France trembled and rallied. Scarcity amplifies. Scarcity transfigures. Scarcity turns men into legends. But to wield scarcity, you must first defeat the inner traitor. Inside you lives the servant who hungers to be noticed, to be included, to be validated. He whispers to you constantly, "Do not disappear. Show them you are still here. Speak before they forget you. Appear before they replace you." He is not your friend. He is a parasite, a voice shaped by fear. If you obey him, you will become like every other man, desperate, overexposed, easily dismissed. If you starve him, you grow. Every moment you resist his plea, your aura thickens. Every time you vanish on purpose, you sharpen your presence like a blade. Absence is not passive, it must be calculated. There is a rhythm to it, like breathing. Inhale, appear, exhale, withdraw. A ruler who is always present suffocates his own mystique. A ruler who disappears too long risks erasure. The art lies in timing. Withdraw when they expect you most. Return when they least expect you. Each movement must feel deliberate, like a predator stalking in the shadows, not a lost wanderer drifting without direction. Here is a law you must carve into your mind. Never let them consume you fully. Always leave a portion hidden, whether in speech, in presence, in intimacy, or in leadership. Always retreat before they have drunk their fill. The hunger must remain. Leave the table before they are satisfied. Leave the room before they have finished with you. Leave the conversation while their questions still burn. This hunger binds them to you, far more than your constant presence ever could. Psychology confirms what Machiavelli intuited centuries ago. Jung observed that the unconscious projects meaning onto what it cannot see. The unknown becomes a canvas for imagination, desire, and fear. Your absence turns you into that canvas. They will project strength, wisdom, danger, or mystery onto your silence. The less you reveal, the more they create. The more they create, the greater you become. And soon, you no longer need to act powerful. They will do the work for you. But scarcity requires discipline. It will feel unnatural at first. You will feel the urge to explain yourself, to reassure others, to appear constantly in order to prove relevance. Resist. Cut these impulses at the root. Practice withholding. Do not reply immediately to every call for your attention. Do not appear at every gathering. Do not speak every thought. In a world addicted to exposure, your restraint will terrify them, and in that terror, they will remember you. Think of your presence like a fortress. If its gates are always open, peasants walk in and out without thought. The fortress loses its meaning. But if the gates remain closed most of the time, opening only in rare moments, even the act of entering feels sacred. Your life must become such a fortress, guarded, selective, rare. Only then will every encounter with you feel like a privilege. There is also danger in scarcity misapplied. Withdraw too long, and they may believe you weak, absent, irrelevant. The art lies in balance. Show enough to remind them you exist, but withdraw enough to keep them hungry. Appear in moments of wait, in situations where your presence alters the atmosphere. Do not waste your appearances on trivialities. A lion does not hunt mice. Do not waste your presence where it has no value. Let us etch this into practice with sharp commands. First, speak less. No more than 3 sentences in any moment of gravity. Then stop. Silence will do the rest. Second, appear less. Decline invitations. Delay replies. Step away when expected most. Create absence deliberately. Third, reveal less. Hold back part of yourself, your plans, your emotions, your daily details. Mystery fuels scarcity. These micro-rules are the architecture of the scarcity law. Follow them, and you will notice a shift. People will lean toward you more. They will question your absence. They will treat your presence as heavier. They will orbit around your silence as if it were gravity itself. History punishes those who ignore this law. Look at rulers who overexposed themselves, Roman emperors who mingled too freely, kings who played at being ordinary men. Their crowns became tarnished. Their people saw weakness where once there had been awe. Familiarity decays reverence, and reverence is the heartbeat of power. Now picture the opposite. Picture yourself vanishing when they call, withdrawing when they demand, refusing to be consumed. Imagine the silence you leave behind growing louder with each hour. Imagine them whispering about you, debating your motives, building legends in your absence. Then imagine reappearing at the moment of your choosing, like a storm breaking the horizon. All eyes turn, all voices fall silent. Your scarcity has multiplied your force. Nietzsche once declared, "He who cannot command silence cannot command respect." Machiavelli, centuries earlier, declared that a prince must learn not only how to be loved or feared, but how to disappear without losing power. They understood what most men never will. Scarcity is the master key. This is the final cut. Abundance kills authority. Scarcity breathes life into it. If you give yourself away endlessly, you will be discarded. If you withhold, if you vanish, if you control your rhythm of presence, you will be unforgettable. Power belongs not to the man who is seen, but to the man who chooses when to be seen. Carve this into your chest. To appear always is to vanish. To vanish strategically is to rule. The man who does not master absence is a slave to the crowd. The man who does becomes myth. So kill the inner servant who begs you to speak, to show, to be everywhere. Choke him with silence, starve him with absence, burn him until only your shadow remains. Then step into the world as something more than a man. Step as legend, step as myth, step as ruler. Remember this image, a blade concealed in darkness, unseen, untouchable, feared, and when it strikes, it ends the game. That is you, if you master scarcity. That is the law. That is the crown Machiavelli leaves for you. Wear it or be forgotten.